The Rhetorical Sake, episode 18. How you feel? How you feel? Everybody else partying tonight, so let's get it. Hey moon, I love the way you move across the ocean. I love the way you move across the sky. I love the way you move across the sky. Hey look ma, I made it. Hey look ma, I made it. Let's get it. We got Irie up in here. We got Hunter here. Whole Earth organization up in this bitch. Hey look ma, I made it, I made it. Hey look ma, I made it, I made it. It feels so good to be right where I belong, right here with you. I want to thank y'all for joining me. You know where to find us. erhunter.live. And that's the truth. Email me at earth@erhunter.live. Patreon.com/erhunter. And find me on Amazon.com. Godsend Dog. Y'all know Irie's up in this bitch. So let's get it. Welcome to the show, The Rhetorical Sake. We're gonna make it do what it do. Let it all fall out. I hope you find some inspiration, get encouraged, stay encouraged, and just relate. That's what it's all about. I get this word of the day email every day, clearly. And one of them this week was Phantasmagoria. And that's a noun. And it's a French and Greek word. Go figure. You can combine two root languages to create a word. Kind of like my last episode, insecure, en, secure. In any case, whatever. Add it to the dictionary when you please, but no, you found it here first. A dreamlike state in which images both real or imagined blur together. That's phantasmagoria, the definition. A constantly changing series of scenes or events that shift in color and intensity. So that stuck out to me because I feel like we are in a season similar to a state of phantasmagoria or approaching in 2020. And y'all know, if you've listened to the show, I'm big on numbers and like numerology and even the biblical significance of particular numbers. And I definitely think that our names in themselves are very significant. So when you break it down to our initials on a numerology, in any case, rhetoric, go figure. In numerical terms, how about that? They represent ideals or concepts, themes, fruit of the spirit, just these intangibles that we've come to know and love, or that we're constantly seeking to fill these God-shaped holes in ourselves. So there's someone's initials that once they became a prominent name in my life and represented certain ideals, I ended up just kind of seeing what their initials turned out to be in numerology, in numerical terms. So I took the initials of this person's name, and we all know this person's name. So if you pay attention, you can identify the initials and, line the dots together, connect the dots, and figure out who I'm referring to. And why, if I'm right, you heard it here first, so bear with me. But the first initial is the fourth letter in the alphabet. And when I researched what the number 4 represents in numerology, an article by Hans de Koss came up, and it had a subtitle 4, meaning the salt of the earth. And he writes that 4 is without a doubt masculine, reflecting strength and stability. His chief characteristics, he being the number 4, he's identifying as a masculine number here, are dependability, productivity, punctuality, and obedience. He is trustworthy, patient, conventional, and a traditionalist. He is a bit boring and not much of a social person. So those are the characteristics of 4 in this guy's opinion. Biblically, the biblical significance of the number 4, what I found is 4 has something to do with the creation. The creation of the universe, the material universe, was completed on the 4th day. So God created the sun and the moon and the stars. Go figure. Other for number 4, like significance, the number 4 is a number of being. It is the number that connects mind, body, spirit with the physical world of structure and organization. And I just got to say, I really feel that number 4 is a feminine, but maybe because it's F, but also in like Italian, like quattro starts with a Q. And that just seems like such a feminine sign, but I guess is that the male sign, the Q? In any case, it is the number that connects mind, body, spirit with the physical world of structure and organization. 4 symbolizes the safety and security of home, the need for stability and strength on a solid foundation of values and beliefs. So 4 would be the month. So I'm referring to the month of April next year, because I think I might have had some type of premonition, or I don't know, people would go so far as to say this could be considered a prophecy. I don't know. It's not very detailed, but I want to put these numbers out there so we can all pay attention. And I'll circle back after I go through these last two. Why? So number 10 is the second number in the initials, so the 10th letter of the alphabet. This number can also symbolize responsibility, law, and completeness. Actually, number 10 is considered to be the symbol of obedience and responsibility of people towards God's law. According to the Bible, number 10 can be also associated with 10 nations who were always very hostile toward Israel, and that's from angelnumber.org. So other angel number references, this angel numbers came up when I put in 10, so I guess it's maybe not so significant in other belief systems. I don't know, but apparently there are angel numbers. It's a message from your angels that you should step forward into the future with confidence and optimism. Angel number 10 provides you assurance that your angels are offering the support that you need to raise your energy and come into alignment with divine source. That's written July 7th of this year, and that's actually from a site. It's called The Secret of the Terra. Go figure. I've dabbled with that stuff, and I feel really bad about it. It's just not my cup of tea. Kind of accurate, but I kind of already knew. I don't know. It's a long story. So then we jump down to 20, and it's the angel number 20 is a combination of the energies and vibrations of the number 2 and the number 0. It represents the start of your spiritual journey, so you should start listening to your intuition and what your guardian angels are trying to tell you. So that's from November 24th last year, Trusted Psychic Medium's website. In biblical terms, the number 20 represents imperfection or totality. So it's either all or nothing type thing. And other references, they break it down to the number 5, since 20 is a multiple of 5. And the number 5 in a dream represents change. So when you see it in a dream, it means that something in the way you think or your life is changing or being shaken up. Some area of your life is different now. So 20, the third number in these initials, the third letter of the the 20th letter in the alphabet is the third initial of this person's name. And the date comes out to 4/10/20. So I noticed this like several years ago. Pretty much, but I didn't say anything because now I got a platform, and it just stands out to me because I'm not finding the articles now, but yesterday I found multiple articles talking about an asteroid headed towards Earth. And it's 4 kilometers big, and it's not supposed to be a direct hit, but should anything change its trajectory, which is kind of likely that its trajectory is going to change because it's hurling past us so far, but from what they've told us. But I don't know. I just feel like they said that, and this was like international business, like a lot of reputable and noteworthy news agencies released information on this, that April 24th, 2020 is when this thing is scheduled to pass by. But if it is going to make an impact, it would be around that date. So that kind of just confirmed or lit something under my ass about getting the word out about 4/10/20. I don't know. But, nothing happened on my date when I spelled out my initials, because I have 4 names. So I explained that, I think, like episode 7. Yeah, go back and listen to that one. I break down. My date was like ERTH. It turned out to be 2008, and it was May, because E's the 5th letter. It was like May, and then R. It's like the 18th or something. I don't know. But weeks before that, every week before that date for 2 weeks, it was like every Sunday something bad would happen. Like this dude had a seizure in front of me inside a Wawa and like busted open his head and was bleeding. It was bad. And then this car got sideswiped in the middle of an intersection right behind me, and a week later. And so I just thought I was going to die. I thought I was going to die when the numbers of my name lined up with the actual date. And everything just went according to plan. I went to church. I really don't even remember what happened after that. It was very uneventful. I was really relieved, though. I remember walking into church and I was like, okay, nothing's going to happen today. So maybe that's faith. Who knows? In any case, thank you once again for tuning in. And shout out to my avid listeners in Switzerland and the Netherlands and the United Kingdom, Germany, Ireland, Greenland, Canada, all across the United States. Virginia, I see you. North Carolina, I see you. South Carolina, I see you. New York, I see you. California, love you. LA, whoever you are, thank you so much. Feel free to email me, as stated. In any case, we're going to keep this thing rolling on. Hey, I just want to take a second and remind everybody that my 2 books are available on Amazon and Kindle. Check out God Sent Dog, the story of how one dog led a man, me, to sobriety. I gotta tell you, I wake up every day to the loving eyes of my Staffordshire Bull Terrier, Irie, telling me to take him out to pee. And I'm really grateful for that today. It could be a challenge, but it's a constant reminder for me to be of service to something that's much bigger than me, and that's the role of humanity. Chasing God Alcoholically is my seminal literary release, and I'm so stoked about it because I wrote that from right where I was at. And I think recognizing where you're at, whether it's early sobriety, in the thick of your disease, in the thick of your addiction, in the thick of any depression or anxiety, realizing where we're at and starting to map out a plan. And that's what I did, and it turned out to be a pretty cool ass book. I've noticed when I look at the Kindle stats on Amazon, the analytics, that people read my books in full. So these are page turners, and they're quick reads. They're not big, bulky encyclopedias, of my opinion. They're really straight to the point, almost like magazines. I'd really appreciate the support. You guys can find me at patreon.com/erhunter. That's patreon.com/erhunter. And rate, review, subscribe to the show. As we close in closer to the holidays and I get some of these reviews stacked up, I'm going to start selecting a few lucky subscribers to receive some signed copies of these books I'm mentioning. Hopefully, my 3rd book I'm working on now will be finished by then, but who knows? I'm letting God handle that, and I'm just going with the flow. Speaking of going with the flow, let's get back to this awesome show. The Rhetorical Saint, Episode 18. We're going to find reverence in our daily practices. The law of the universe is thought first, and then expression, and never can this law be reversed, writes Emmett Fox in his daily devotional Around the Year with Emmett Fox. He closes the October 9th reading with, let all things be done decently and in order, from 1 Corinthians 14:40. So, y'all know me. He references a Bible verse pretty much every day, which is cool because it's like a secular read too. Like it's like the Universal Christ with Richard Rohr. It's a very approachable conceptualization of the Christ and the Christian God. So I really appreciate it. I was reading through 1 Corinthians chapter 14 around verse 40 and what was leading up to it. And like verse 38 says like women should be quiet in church. They shouldn't talk. So I reached out to Grammy, my grandmother, and I texted her and I was like, what do you think of this? And she was like, gave me a response that I think kind of tiptoed around it, to be honest. Sorry, Grammy. But it just goes to show, like, I don't take the Bible too seriously. Like, I understand it's divinely inspired, but it is man-made. It's a man-made medium, but definitely divinely inspired, and it holds a bunch of universal truths. I've spent so much time concentrating on it, just being brought up in a Christian household and being sent to Christian schools up until high school, private institutions, and then going to a Christian school for college because I wanted to go to a small school. Don't get me wrong. I didn't want to just be another number, and I wasn't. But that also required a lot out of me that I was young and dumb. So, but I don't regret all that. In any case, I just, people will say, oh, you're gay, how can you be Christian? Or you're bisexual, how can you be Christian? All this stuff. Because it says in the Old Testament, like, man should not lay with another man. And I'm actually working on another book that it doesn't take precedence right now because it's very research intensive about homosexuality in the Bible and in through Christianity, and my conceptualization of following the Christian deity despite my sexuality and pretty much expulsion from the church or, of credibility. But I know my credibility's shot anyway because I talk about seeing ghosts and UFOs and everything. So y'all know I'm out there. Holla if you're with me. In any case, I really appreciate him at Fox because he kind of just tunes you in. And it's funny how the reading sets the tone for the day, or it kind of just rolls with the same vibration I was feeling, kind of reconfirms what I was feeling maybe later in the morning or earlier that day. So it's funny because like today, I did not feel like going on a run after work. I didn't feel like going on a run before I started producing this show. And, him mentioning let all things be done decently and in order. And then I skipped yesterday's reading, but it kind of holds true to this theme of consistency and persistence. Where is it at? Well, we'll find it. Today's reading, October 12th, don't pray or meditate as a duty. Realize that prayer is a visit with God and should be joyous. Neither must you pursue your secular activities as necessary duties to be gotten over, that you may return to your prayer. In the light of truth, there are no secular activities. You must have regular recreation, or you will become stale. Recreation also is to be enjoyed as an expression of God, and not as a task to prepare yourself to pray better. And understanding joy in living is the highest prayer of all. In thy presence is fullness of joy. Psalm 16:11. Well, I got to tell you, this message for today, or this podcast, this show, this episode, was inspired days ago. And because I knew I needed to, my manager complimented me on how bright I was at work during a dark time. And things get stressful, when you're doing a part-time job and people treat you like shit. Uh, but who knows what they're going through? That's not my problem. My problem is to make sure that whatever product I'm serving you, it's got love in it, and I love you. I don't want anyone leaving where I work feeling worse than how they came in. They should be feeling a whole lot better. And that's my job. It's more so about the service than it is the product, and I got recognized for that. And I noticed that about myself at this point in my life. And there's a centeredness, there's a congeniality that is unfamiliar to me, but it's so naturally inclined. And I'm not going to brag and boast, oh yeah, I feel a lot better, I'm acting a lot different. But when someone recognizes it in me, then it confirms it for me. Okay, I'm not crazy, I have been feeling different, and it's starting to show. Now, that was the quote I was looking for with Emmett Fox. He was like, thought before expression. That's the universal law. It always has to go in that order. So even before I hit record on this, I'm doing research, I'm taking notes, I'm producing the show. There's a process that goes into delivering this, and I take it seriously because this is my art. But it's also like I can have fun with it because I find God in art, and I'm not God. And that's why this is so fun, because I'm not required to be perfect. I'm required in myself. This is my own requirement to myself, because my divinity in me has shown me that the only requirement I have is to be authentic. And that means authentically snoring when I sleep, and authentically crying when I'm sad, and authentically relating and being empathetic with others, and authentically setting boundaries. Authentically denying my carnal desires, because believe me, after a long day at work, I did not feel like running almost 3 miles. No, it was 2.59, but I felt great. I did not feel like starting that run. I'm doing this intermittent fasting, and I don't even want to eat because I get sleepy after I eat, so I haven't eaten all day, and it is late at night right now, but that's okay because that's how I roll now. Like I keep that hunger in me, and it keeps me driven and focused, and maybe that's why I'm a little hesitant and I'm umming a lot, because I need some carbs in me. Don't worry, help is on the way. That was a message by Stephen Furtick. Man, I love that podcast. So another tidbit with this text message conversation with my Grammy that Furtick turned me on to was this prostitute outside of Jericho in, I think it's like the book of Judges or Joshua, when they go to spy out the land. And she takes them in and she lets them know, because she's a worn out prostitute, like she's too old, and she was one of the most beautiful women that ever lived, and it notes that in the Bible. So no wonder, she was a sex worker. But she lets them know, we already knew you were coming. We heard what your God did. So you ain't even got to worry about it. But do you know that this Bible is just all about Jesus? Like, these people are not just random characters. Rahab, this prostitute, is like one of the matriarchs of Jesus, of Nazareth. So one of his greatest grandmothers was a prostitute. And with that, this is what I'm talking about, Phantasmagoria. There's an explosion of color in this concept of a Christ. And it just reaffirms this idea I've been presented with more recently in my life, is that there's a little bit of bad in the good of us and a little bit of good in the worst of us. So it is what it is. And I'm not too high-minded. I don't ever want to be too prideful and too afraid to express myself. And I hope I never lose the venue. I mean, I'm grateful to be living in a place where I have freedom of speech, and I have freedom of press, and freedom of assembly, and all these rights. And so I love exercising it. I feel a lot better when I drop an episode and I go to sleep at night, because I'm all about building you guys up, you guys and gals. I really don't know why we refer, like when chicks walk in, or like women walk into the restaurant, see, I call them chicks. Is that misogynist? Is that sexist? I really want to break that habit. because it's like calling somebody baby, like infantilizing them. I don't like that. In any case, let's get back on track. So finding reverence in our everyday practices, kind of getting back to what Emmett Fox was talking about, and seeing things in a whole new light and these different colors I can't even describe, like how knowing Jesus, the guy I got baptized in the name of, the risen Christ, is the descendant of a lady of the night. You know, I love it. I love it because there's nothing too high or too low where my God can't go. So there are some basic steps, and I'm going to stick to like 3 or 4 main concepts of finding reverence and honor in our everyday menial tasks and those part-time jobs that we're just doing to pay the bills, but they're not our passion projects. We get to be a little bit passionate, but we have to reel it in. If you're where I'm at, then you understand. If you've been there, then you can relate. Maybe you're headed there, and that's a good place to be. If you're headed to that place, that's a good place to be, where you're starting to grind and you're making it come up. Because if you any less than where I'm at as far as where I'm working or where I'm building most of my revenue and keeping myself afloat as a grown-ass man, without that, I would be homeless. I'd be living on the street. I'd be codependent. I'd be dependent on other people. And I've been there. I've been there so many times throughout my 20s. And I'm glad that I'm just gun-ho about not only just surviving, but thriving and succeeding, seeing a profit, seeing my savings account increase gradually, but also seeing my projects and having different pots on the stove boiling at different temperatures. I got the podcast, I got the books, I got the marketing campaigns, I got the potential sponsors for the show. Like, this is going down. So whatever is going on in that little cafe I'm working at is fine. That's nothing, because what's in me is so much bigger than any establishment, so much bigger than any conglomerate corporation, any Hollywood studio. What is in each and every one of us has so much potential. It's like that potential energy versus kinetic energy. And now I'm transitioning this potential energy into kinetic energy when I produce a show. And I love that. And that's why when I'm doing menial tasks and I'm doing my daily practice, which is, at work, it's not like I'm going to have every day perfect. I'm not going to do everything right. I'm not going to always have the best attitude. I'm not going to have the best responses. I might not be that nice to the Patreons. And it's not the Patreons, the patrons. And it's not that I am ill-willed toward them. It's because of my own stuff, because I'm frustrated with myself, because I got all this built up inside of me and I'm not letting it out. And everyone's saying, oh, well, it's just another podcast. Oh, you got a bro with a podcast. Yeah, and that's me. Like another nigga with a guitar. That's me. And I'm all right with that. So when I go to work or when I do stuff I don't want to do but is being required of me, because now I'm taking suggestions, trying to practice some contra reaction, because my ego is not my amigo. Let me say that again. Mio ego non è mi amico. So number 1 with finding reverence in our everyday practices is acceptance. It requires accepting our presence, accepting exactly where we're at every given moment. It is what it is. There are things that we can change, and we can work towards that. But the breath that's flowing in and out of my body right now is all that matters, and how I utilize it. So am I utilizing it to develop? Am I projecting? Am I building momentum for the next moment? Because prior to my words falling out of my mouth, I am producing a thought in my frontal cortex. So there's that thought before expression. It's a universal law. And that's what baffles me about people with a higher power without one, agnostic or atheist, and I feel bad. I'm encouraged. At the same time, I feel bad, because I want people to feel the love of God and the joy that I feel by living sincerely and authentically. So it bemoans me to think that someone may live this whole life without ever. It's like not having an orgasm. That would be terrible. So I want everyone to try it. That's why I talk the way I talk. Or what about? Persistence is number 2. Persistence. So once we accept where we're at and we accept the situation for what it is, and part of that acceptance is setting healthy boundaries for ourselves. So that means not letting myself get too worked up over things. Set a boundary. Why am I letting that bother me? It's just provolone cheese. Why am I letting that bother me? It's just a stove. You know, not letting things like that get under my skin. I accept that, yes, this is business, but this is not my life. Persistence, that is where things get a little challenging. Persistence requires enduring despite external circumstances. Persistence, it means doing it when you don't feel like it. And persistence is the precursor to consistency. So, for example, let's say you're trying to scramble some eggs. You crack the eggs into a bowl and you just have a fork or a whisk and you don't whisk them persistently, the eggs won't be consistent. The omelet won't be consistent. You'll have a stew of fried eggs but not scrambled eggs. So in life, is God your whisk? Are you the whisk that God is using? How persistent are we getting? Is there a consistency in our life? Is that a positive consistency or a negative consistency? I'm trying to share my uptrend. I'm trying to share my positive consistency with the world, and I'm doing it. And it inspires me to go on with the menial tasks and to be happy when I'm doing arbitrary work for way low pay than what I'm worth. But there is no dollar amount per hour that is worth my time. There's God in me. There's God in you. There's God in each and every one of us. I'm just accepting to play the game, and I'm persistently showing up to work so that those that do sign my checks find that I am consistently an asset to their business. Everywhere I go, I have never been fired. I quit, I resign, and I still have open invitations on the floor. And I fucked up at work plenty of times at plenty different jobs. But what I do is I own it. And if I don't, well, that's something I'm working on. Let's not take myself too seriously. But that consistency also deals with the persistence and not being affected by the external environment. And Stephen Furtick, Elevation Church, their podcast is awesome. He's got a message where he mentions that we need to recognize that what we are doing is and could be or may be different than the season that we're in. So no, I don't feel like being the best waiter or server or chef or cook or Lyft or Uber driver today, but I do it because what I'm doing doesn't have to necessarily match the season I'm in. It could be hail outside and I'm doing a spin class type thing in my soul. Like it could be snowing or an ice mess, sleet and rain and ice cold, or maybe it's a heat wave and I'm doing cardio because I want to get my heat shock proteins activated. I'm trying to get that thermogenesis going and then do a cold dive and do some cold water, like 58, 54 degrees, something like that, into my pool that's been in the shade all day and start shivering, start burning 100 calories per 15 minutes. Y'all don't want to mess with me. And that's part of the number 4 thing about finding reverence in your daily practices. Possess that thing. Possess the land. Take control of your territory. Become a master of your craft and find divinity in your practice. When I finally set aside my ego, changed my attitude, started faking it till I make it as far as the smile on my face, even though I've struggled with depression, I struggle with anxiety, I struggle with PTSD from trauma that I'm unpacking with my therapist. When I took control, started taking on a little bit more responsibility at work every day, started taking initiative, started complimenting others, and I possessed the land. I started treating my situation how I would want to be treated, with healthy boundaries, joyous atmosphere, decency and respect. And that it's so easy to pour out of you. Because we could be like this. We could be like a mug, a coffee mug, and our coffee inside is our emotions. And it's full to the brim. It is full to the brim. And as soon as somebody knocks us, as soon as we shake, as soon as something outside causes us to stir, that emotion spills over. The contents, what's in the container of the vessel, spill out onto other people, and we burn them because we're scorching hot coffee. Or are we liquid gold, and we cover them in that essence, in that celestial phantasmagoria of essence? Y'all don't want to mess with me today. I'm so grateful that the smile on my face today is genuine. I'm grateful that it's gotten a lot easier to talk to strangers I pick up when I'm driving Lyft, or, interact with customers at work even when I'm not feeling good. I have to say a big part of it is not being hungover, though. A big, big part of it. And the clarity I'm getting spiritually and mentally, it's mesmerizing. But I have my days, and I struggle. The racing thoughts, dark thoughts, they come and go. But what used to be compulsive is now losing consistency. It's not as persistent, and the positive stuff is becoming persistent. I'm persistently reminding myself to change the subject, to change the narrative of my life for the better, for the uptrend. If I leave you with anything else today, the word is endure. Maintaining serenity in the workplace is very difficult and challenging, but it's vital to not only the community's health, but also your own. These little bumps in the road come and go. They ebb and flow. But how we prevail over them, how we trudge onward, walking with purpose, that legacy, that endures forever. I want to thank you all for joining me today. Please review the show, subscribe, and hit me up, erhunter.live. I really appreciate you all. I hope you got some inspiration, some practicality, some guidance, some motivation, some encouragement, and just some good old-fashioned love from today's episode. Have a great one, and I'll see you next time. Ciao.
Yeah, that's my shit right there. It's psychedelics, baby. I'm back. What, you thought I left you hanging? You know I love this shit. And I'm all fucked up. Ah, where my girls at? Those diamonds in the sky.